When an institution is in its prime, its buildings may begin to show signs of age. Then comes the decision to renovate, remodel or rebuild. The Akropong School for the Blind is on the threshold of 1075, and most of the structures in the school are not aesthetically pleasing, and the only playground in the school is in a bad state. A report by Oforiwa Darko.
At the entrance of the school, back in the day when it was built, stands this rusty directional post that serves as a guide for visitors. It clearly shows how old it is. First-time visitors are likely to miss their way to the school because it seems to have outlived its use. Since its establishment in 1945, most of the buildings at the Akropong School for the Blind have not received any facelift. They either need a touch of paint, refurbishment or reconstruction to make all the structures livable. The school's hall, which is used for almost every gathering, including church activities, also serves as the dining hall, and the hall is still in use despite its current state.
This is a Akropong School for the Blind, and this whole area is their playing ground, but it is only this playing material, that's the seesaw, that is in good shape. Most of them have broken down. And I'm just wondering if a lot of kids have to come here, play like how Malam is doing. I don't know where else or which playing material you're going to use.
The students' recreational area for their relaxation is in a poor state and not serving the purpose for which it exists. That's not all. The benches in the school are all broken down.
It's a long time we have done some renovations on these buildings. So again, if you can get corporate bodies, some of these corporate bodies, the oil companies, etc., they can come in to support us to renovate the places for the bungalows for us. We also played that if more teachers bungalows can put up for teachers to accommodate the teachers so that they can be on campus to be with the children and support them, because the children cannot be here alone while the teachers are in town.
The authorities of the Akropong School for the Blind hope that an appropriate intervention and support would come to the school to breathe new life into their aging buildings and facilities.
Amen.
Accompanied by a teacher at the Akropong School for the Blind, Mr. Abraham Bejo, and a student, 13-year-old Abubakar Salifu, the news team was introduced to a popular sport in the school known as Obolo Junction. Named after an old student of the school, Obolo Junction is usually where the students relax and hobnob. With a bench in the shade of a tree, the news team joined Joseph Nimakon, who was reading the Bible in Braille.
2 Samuel, chapter 1. David hears of Saul's death. After the death of Saul, David returned from defeating the Amalekites and stayed in Ziklag 2 days. On the third day, a man arrived from Saul's camp with his clothes torn and the dust on his head. When he came to David, he fell to the ground to pay him honor.
At the age of 9, Joseph enrolled at the Akropong School for the Blind, and now, just like most of the students, he can read and write on his own using Braille, a system that uses combinations of raised dots to enable blind people to read with their fingers.
I was just looking at your fingers, how you're able to do this, but we all know you've been through the process, you've been to school, you've been taught about the Braille, how to use it.
Actually, this Braille is our system of writing. So when I came here, though it wasn't easy to learn it, but I forced.
In one of the boys' dormitories, a newcomer, Gambila Emmanuel, who comes from the Upper East region, spoke about how those who are now studying the basis of how to use the Braille have to gradually go through the process with riveted attention.
I nearly gave you this Braille to do justice to it, but it seems you're new. You started this term. So what are you doing now, the basics? What are you studying now?
Braille is not like ABC, the way you just have to look at the picture, the way the alphabet looks like. So Braille, you have to learn ABCD, even though those are born blind, they've never seen ABCD, what print, how it looks like. So they just learn dots. So they learn dots at the same time, they sound A. So A means dot one.
Students at the Akropong School for the Blind use Braille papers for their assignments, note writing, and exams. Yet, the school lacks Braille papers. This, the assistant headmaster of the school, Mr. Homaji Achu, says is impeding effective teaching and learning.
We will need this material, Braille papers. If you get individuals, corporate bodies, churches, etc., coming to our aid by way of providing these papers to support what the government is also providing for us, we appreciate it, because without those papers, these children cannot do academic work. Teaching and learning cannot go on. It's just like in the regular school, the sighted children, they don't have such books. How do they write their assignment?
The visually impaired say Braille gives them sight and helps them see the world they live in, and for the Akropong School for the Blind to be in want of this spells doom for teachers and students alike who need it for their everyday communication. Mr. Homaji Achu is visually impaired and now the assistant headmaster of the Akropong School for the Blind. He is also an alumni. In an interview with GBC News, Mr. Achu spoke about how the school for the blind has impacted the lives of many visually impaired persons. One striking issue that caught the news team's attention in Mr. Achu's submission was the virtual non-existence of the school's clinic.
Because of the nature of the children, some from time to time they get ill, from time to time they get hurt themselves, from time to time they wound themselves. We also appeal to organizations into health so that they can help us with drugs, we can help us with equipment to man the place. Because the nurse alone, if the nurse comes, she will need this equipment, she will need drugs, she will need etc. to do the work. So we are also appealing to other organizations which are into health sector to provide us with drugs, to provide us with health equipment to man the place.
GBC News followed up on the issue and met the school's nurse, Madame Lovina Oforiwa, who has worked there for the past 5 years. Achu has said a lot about the clinic, what they lack, and the necessary intervention that has to come to them. So we'll go in there and talk to Madam Love, who is a school nurse, about the clinic's condition. Let's go in. The school's clinic is just a small section of the nurses' bungalow. The school has a population of about 400 students, but there are only 4 beds at the clinic and a wheelchair. The situation gets worse when more students fall ill at the same time. The facility does not have any other major medical equipment for first aid and emergency cases. There is also no ambulance in the school.
As for the major ones in a day, we normally send to hospital because we don't have any, even first aid for that, we don't have. But as for the headache, malaria, and the rest there, sometimes people brought us drugs. Bedsheet there we don't have. We don't have anything. Blanket. My dear, I don't want to talk. Otherwise, it's a lot. We don't have anything.
The school's nurse, Madame Lovina Oforiwa, is sending a fervent plea to the powers that be for help for the visually impaired students, to involve the students of the Akropong School for the Blind in inclusive development. Management says appropriate interventions are required urgently from the Health Ministry, corporate and benevolent organizations to make healthcare accessibility and delivery effective. Daniels, the only name he mentioned to our crew, is visually impaired and a student at the Akropong School for the Blind in the Akropong North District of the Eastern Region. 21-year-old Daniels, who sings, enrolled in the school in 2010 and is a Class 5 pupil. His stay in the school has been worth its while and is now adept with his mobility around the school's compound, although it is sometimes tricky. Just like Daniels, there are hundreds of students who have received training from the Akropong School for the Blind. The visually impaired institution, which was established in 1945, has teachers, house mistresses and masters, and the head teacher, Madam Mahelana, totally committed and dedicated to their charges from kindergarten to the junior high school level. The school for the past years has received lots of support from the government, individuals and benevolent organizations, but there remains a major problem, and that is how to store water. A rainwater harvesting system is a system comprising various stages of transporting rainwater through pipes or drains, filtration and storage in tanks for immediate use or future storage. Speaking to GBC News, the head teacher of the Akropong School for the Blind, Madam Mahelana, said the school is in dire need of such a harvesting system, which would enable them store enough water and save the school from possible water crisis in the Akropong North municipality of the Eastern Region.
It has been on the drawing table for long now about harvesting of rainwater. We just need somebody to help us to rain, because as the water is pouring, it will come to a point the tap may not even run, and you need this water, and that's flowing and going the ground. So it's a project that we may need help to be able to harvest.
The Akropong School for the Blind is, however, calling on the general public and the government for any assistance to help the school acquire a rainwater harvesting system which would ease the school's water situation in the future. An old student of the Akropong School for the Blind, Ibrahim Mustafa, recounts some unpleasant incidents on a regular basis in the school in 2006. He said he tripped quite often in the open gutters and drains.
When you look at the environment, we have a lot of chances. Some of the rain supposed to be repaired, and I was thinking that the gutter was a seat to cover the gutter, because most of rain. I remember when I was here 2006, I do fall inside the gutter a lot, and if you didn't take time, you got wound. Yeah, it's not easy. So yeah, so our leaders too can do some. Our leaders can do to help us.
Nothing has really changed since the uncovered gutters still exist on the school's compound. The students at the Akropong School for the Blind move around on their own or with the help of students who may be partially blind. Others also work in groups, but that would not probably prevent tripping over or falling into open gutters. Another issue is the potholes and the bad state of most of the pathways in the school. This is a major obstacle to their mobility.
In the streets, the whole place is eroded. A lot of erosion, potholes, etc., etc. And this school for the blind, children are blind children and they are moving about. It's not safe for them. I want to take this opportunity to remind the minister, for that matter, Minister of Road, that they should work quickly and come back to put the roads or the restrict in order for us, so that the children can, the mobility can be safe for them, so that, and then the gutters, the open gutters can be covered.
The visually impaired employ their remaining senses to navigate their familiar environment. For them, good pathways and properly covered drains are a must to keep them safe from injury or worse. For GBC News, Oforiwa Darko reporting.